Hey guys, welcome back. We are here, Belzy and Tina. Belzy, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Hi, I'm Belsie Schlueter, and I am the Southeast RSM here with Tina, and
Yeah.
she's going to talk today to us about some t-shirt quilts.
Yep. Thank you, Miss Belzy. Yes, as she has said, my name is Tina Harris, and I am a t-shirt quilt maker for sure at heart. I love to create things and create memories for other people. And today I'm going to do a little bit of a show and tell. I'm going to show you some things that you can do, and I'm going to show you some things that maybe you haven't thought about not doing in order to make your quilt what you want it to be. First and foremost, many people ask me, hey, Tina, what's the difference between a memory quilt and a t-shirt quilt? Well, let's just get that cleared right off the top. A memory quilt for me means that I'm either creating a quilt from my loved one's clothing, from different sporting events or concerts or anything
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be just really with your regular batting, or I'm sorry, not batting, with your regular quilter's cotton,
Yeah.
because I've done that too. I've actually created a memory quilt for my mom. And I didn't realize how much of a memory quilt it was going to be until my mom is no longer with us. And now I have inherited that quilt. So whenever I travel,
Mhm.
though I made it with regular cotton, um, it's one of those things that I sleep with. It doesn't matter wherever it goes. It just brings me warmth. It brings me comfort. It makes me feel like I'm loved and I'm just wrapped with something that will always remind me that I was well supported and well brought up. So, hey, shout out to mom. So, anyway, I want to say we're just going to start and look at some basic quilts. So whenever we do make a t-shirt quilt typically is made out of your t-shirts, or it could be made out of your jersey material. It could be made out of so many different things. I've even made it from some baseball hats. Just take
Wow.
the material apart,
Mhm.
take the hat apart, and then you have something that's pretty cool. All right, guys, so let's just get started. If you see right at the top, you'll see a quilt that we have laid out here. And on this quilt,
Oh,
well,
sorry. I'll lower it so you can see her face.
actually, it's not a quilt that is specific for any one person. This is a quilt that's really like a quilt that you would give away to someone who may be homeless, a charity quilt of some sort. And what happens is whenever you create these t-shirt quilts, you may have extra fabric, extra things that you don't know what to do with. And so what I do, instead of throwing things away, like I kind of told you before, I might be a bit of a hoarder. I just gather all these things and I create something special that can comfort or protect someone in probably unfortunate situations. It just makes them feel as if they're loved or remembered. So, anyway, so this is just one. And when you do these quilts, I want you to always think, you know what? Quilting can be fun. It can spark a memory, but it doesn't have to always be about crying, right? It doesn't have to be about, oh my goodness, I miss this person, or oh my goodness, I'm doing this. It really can be just something that brings you joy. So, what I learned from one other quilter, someone who's a little bit older than I was, she said, hey, spice up life, turn your quilt over and do something different. So with my quilts, I tend to try to do something different on the backside of my quilts.
Oh.
So when you turn it over, you'll see that, hey, you know what? We've done something a little bit different. Can you see this? If we turn it this direction, you actually see that there's a pretty cool design on the back, right? I think we have Miss Brienne coming in to get us all checked out. We're just going to look at a couple of things.
There we go.
Okay. All right.
I can hold it for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Now, let's talk about preservation. Preservation is a big thing. You can actually just
Yeah.
throw it on the floor if you want to for now.
No,
It's
I
totally fine.
could never throw something so beautiful on the
Okay,
floor.
my goodness, Belzy. Okay, we're just going to take this off and we're going to put it down for a second then.
Gotcha.
Okay, now on this quilt, this is a quilt that I made for my husband, and it has to do with his fraternity as well as the school he went to from college. It was fun to make, and if you look at it closely, I just used a basic kind of stippling pattern, and we'll talk about different patterns a little bit later on. When you're looking at this, then I'm just saying, okay, this is wonderful, this is great. But because it's one of the first quilts that I made, there are some definite imperfections in this entire thing. So, one, it looks fine, it looks great, but as it continued to get washed over a period of time, I didn't pay attention to what it could actually do to my seams. And what I did was I sewed everything on a very scant 1/4 inch because I was trying to use as much of the material from the shirts as I possibly could instead of using maybe a regular 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. And so when that happens, if you look closely, and I don't know if you can actually see this, the material actually starts kind of like pulling apart. And you can kind of put your finger in here. Do we still use this? We absolutely do. But in the same sense, is this something that needs to last a lifetime? I would love for it to, but it's now going to have some repair. So take the time to, follow the steps a little bit ahead of time.
So
Do you have any
Tina,
questions?
I do actually.
Yeah,
So it when we're doing t-shirt quilts, as you were talking, right, it doesn't necessarily have to be a knit, right? You were talking about regular
right.
cotton. But you know what came to mind is that different t-shirts, different knits have different pulls, right? So how do you handle that when you're quilting? Something that might have a 4-way stretch versus a 2-way stretch.
Good question. Okay, if you don't mind, if you can grab like all of my stabilizer.
Yeah,
And as you
absolutely.
guys can tell, I'm going to talk about stabilizer just for a quick second.
That's it.
Yeah, that's actually my batting, and then
Oh, gotcha.
the tray,
Yep.
and then the pink bolt. Okay, you can try just about anything. Most of you have already been out here and you've seen Kim, you've seen Christina, you've seen different people on different channels create t-shirt memory quilts. The reality is the t-shirt memory quilt is all about what you really want it to be. But over time, I can tell you what my best practice have been because, as far as the amount of t-shirt quilts that I have created for other people, whether it's family or whether I've been commissioned, I don't know how many hundreds there have been. There's been several. So I can only talk to you from the perspective of what makes things a little bit easier for me when I'm quilting bulk and when I'm quilting more than one t-shirt quilt at a time. So first and foremost, she talked about t-shirts, jerseys. You can have, all kinds of fun things. Like you have these jerseys. This is pretty flimsy. And when you're ready to stitch it and wash it, it probably does well for a little bit of a time if you don't put any stabilizer behind it. But when you're quilting it and when you're piecing it, it can stretch and move out of shape. The same thing for this little jersey. It's just holes, right? Holes in the jersey. Okay, Tina, how do you handle that? How do you make it simple, make it easy for me to actually piece together as
Mhm.
well as quilt, right? So whenever I'm piecing, I'm going to use a stabilizer. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is that there's several different stabilizers that you can use. Some people like to use their 505 and spray a stabilizer behind it, like a woven
Mhm.
stabilizer is made out of fabric. Some like to use fusible stabilizers where you just kind of adhere it to the t-shirt quilts. All of that is wonderful and good, but sometimes you have to work with whatever you have. And if you do that, then I would just suggest, hey, let's find something that you can probably easily find in most quilt shops. And let's just take the time to shout out to our retailers again. If you go there, that's a wonderful thing. The one thing we would love for you to do is that we'd like for you to support our local quilt
Local
shops.
retailers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the reason why is that, we've all gone through something. We went through 2020 where we had this pandemic that was really quite crazy. It was
Mhm.
isolating. It was a bit debilitating for some who were trying to have a business and try to move forward in life. So I just say, hey, you know what? We've seen big box stores close. Let's not let that happen to our local quilt shops because if we don't support them, we will not have the fabrics, we will not have the tools, we will not have all of the different things that we need in order to create the memories that we would like to have. So
Absolutely.
let's make sure
Absolutely.
we try to support our local retailers. Now, when it comes to um, your stabilizers, I'm going to tell you probably the one stabilizer that is easy to get, no matter where you are in North America for sure, is going to be your Pellon stabilizers, right? So you can get those in different colors. You can get them in black, and you can also get it in white. So um, they may have an off-white too that you can use, but you want to find something that's easy to get. Stabilizers are not all created equal. One is a little bit woven. So if you see this one, you'll see this is woven on one side, and then on the opposite side, we have kind of like these little glue dots,
Mhm.
and you use this to actually adhere to your back side of your shirts, right? So that works out well because then now your shirt that you had, whether even if it's a sweatshirt, it's not stretchy in all different types of direction. You kind of stabilize it, you secure it in place to keep you from having a situation later on when you're trying to line it up and you're off and you're constantly pulling your ruler out, trying to make everything all straight. So, as you can tell, guys, I am quite the traditional t-shirt quilt person. Can you make t-shirt quilts without stabilizer? Yeah, you can. You can. I'm sorry?
Should you make them without stabilizer?
Should you?
It's a personal preference. So people are in the back, I think someone's called them in the back, the peanut gallery. They're asking, hey, but should you make t-shirt quilts without stabilizer? I will have to say that I tend not to. And the main reason I like to use my stabilizer is when I present this to someone at the end, I'm
Mhm.
presenting them with my best. I
Yeah.
want it to look smooth. I want it to look crisp. I don't want to take the chance of having it kind of double up over itself. So, can you? Yes. Should you? Your choice. Do I? No. So, that's what I do. So, but anyway,
So Tina, I actually have an additional question.
sure.
We were talking about stabilizer, and you showed that the glue dots on your stabilizer. I know,
Yes.
Lily, can you see that in the? Yeah. So these glue dots, when you adhere that to your shirt, with the jersey that you showed us, how do you adhere that without damaging that vinyl on it?
Oh, that's a good question. If you don't mind, you can use a t-shirt, an old t-shirt of something else. Thank you. Or you can use a Teflon sheet. I like to use Teflon sheets simply because I use a heat press machine instead of an iron. And a heat press machine kind of reminds you the big machine that you pull the lever down. Once you pull the lever down, then this tray comes down over it and it stabilizes your shirts, or it heat presses a design usually on your shirt, right? So for me, I like to use Teflon stabilizer or Teflon sheets. Once you put this on your machine, or actually, I'm gonna tell you a little trick. Okay,
We love all the tricks.
let's
Yes.
be real. Okay, I'm showing you just one. I use two because I have been so. You see that I have not been a perfect quilter all my life, and I have managed to kind of press my shirt, and then the emblem, whatever was right here, is pressed onto my machine either on the top or even on the
Oh
bottom. So in
no.
order just to get around all of that, I put one Teflon sheet on the bottom, I put my stabilizer, I put my shirt, and then I layer it with the last sheet of Teflon. And the Teflon, I find that it's just easier for it to peel off. When it cools down just a
Yeah.
little bit, it just peels off and it keeps your shirt nice and flat. And that's the main thing whenever you're trying to create your t-shirt quilts.
Wow.
So that's one thing. Now, for people who really want to know, what do you use? Well, when all else fails and you can't find, like, say, for instance, there is, what is that? That French tricot
French
stabilizer?
fuse. Yes.
French fuse.
Yes,
I
French
have it. I
fuse.
have used that and I can't find it. But, we'll find it eventually. No, that's not it.
Let me see if we have it here.
While she's looking for that, I'm just going to keep on talking. I like to use your Pellon. The Pellon is a Pellon PF44. So the PF44 is actually a little bit lighter than your regular Pellon featherweight, and it moves a little bit more freely. We all know that t-shirt quilts can be kind of stiff if you use a very stiff stabilizer. So I just kind of want to give you an idea of the possible things that you could use as far as with your different stabilizers to make everything great. Okay. And I'm just, like a dog with a bone. I really want to find that French
I
tricot,
think it might
fusible
be
tricot.
behind our camera.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we left it. Yeah, right.
That's okay.
No.
No, that's all right. We're going to move on. We're going to move on. So, but anyway, so the next thing that we have is just basically let's move this out the way. And
Yeah.
we're going to talk about
Gotcha.
probably just batting. What kind of batting should you use when you create your t-shirt memory quilts? Again, that's one of those things that can become a personal preference. You can use something that's probably a little bit more organic. So you're looking at your 100% cottons or your 100% like it could be bamboo. All of those, you can use that. So I am going to tell you first and foremost, decide if the person is quilt worthy. If they're not quilt worthy,
She's right, though. She is right.
and you know that this is going to be a beating, you may not want to get the most expensive bamboo batting that you can get. But if this is something that you want to kind of almost heirloom to somebody else, then I would say, it's okay to step out and, get your cottons, get your bamboos. Those things are going to be breathable. But I will say that here lately, a lot of people have approached me about making quilts for probably a loved one that may have autism or they may have some sensory issues, and they don't want the quilts to be extremely light. They don't want it to be like flimsy. They want it weighted. So let's go ahead and let's talk about how do you make these weighted. So for me, you can use double batting, obviously, if you wanted to do that. You'll see that we have all different kinds. Where do I source my batting? There's a company right in Fort Worth. It's called Fiberco. Love them, and I love all the things they have to offer. There's Quilter's Dream. There are so many different things. There's Hobbs. There's really not any one particular one that I have to say I prefer. Now, I will say more often than not, I'm a little bit different. I don't always use 100% cotton.
Mhm.
I actually use my 80/20 cotton polyester blend.
Yep.
And that works beautifully. It is economical. And my handy quilter machine loves to quilt on it. It doesn't have a problem. It quilts through several layers, quilts through one, and it's just like smooth like butter. So it's a good thing. I'm going to put these away. I'm
I
not going to
gotcha.
talk a whole bunch
Thank you.
except for this one. This one is black, right? You have a black batting. And whenever you have black batting, when would you use this? Well, you could use this whenever your quilt is probably really rich in color, right? So if you
Hmm.
have those darker colors that you're concerned on whether or not your needle is going to poke through and cause a little bit of bearding, then you would use this for that reason. Those royal gem colors, those just sultry colors that just make you, it just makes you feel warm all inside, right? So that's one time that you would use that. Otherwise, if you have a lot of lighter colors, you might want to use your natural colors or your white cotton. So, I mean, you have options. You're not limited on what you can do. Okay. She's not throwing, but I am. Okay. We're going to get it out the way.
Okay.
So, throughout this session, and I'm hoping that this is going to be helpful for those of you who do create these t-shirt memory quilts. Oftentimes people want to use different fabrics with different pile heights. They might be, it may have sequins. It may have all kinds of jewels in there. And you're like, you know what? I want to do something with that and I want to quilt it. And
Mhm.
oftentimes a lot of people say, you know what, Tina, I love what you do, but I want you to quilt the whole thing edge to edge. And I don't want any spaces just kind of like missed. I don't want you to just like crop out my little alligator. I want the alligator that's in sequins all quilted through. How can I do that? Right? I have been told you can't do it. You can't do it. You shouldn't do it. This might hurt the machine. Well, all of this could be true. You want to always act with caution. I would say if you have diamonds and rhinestones and all these wonderful jewels, quilt around it. Our machines are not meant to quilt over that type of hard substance. Plus, you don't want to lose your design like that. That's when you might go very, very, very old school and maybe do a little tie off with a hand stitch or something like that. But let me show you what you can do and how you can quilt over your machines. Okay, I'm going to get rid of
I got you.
husband. Thank you. This is a heavy weighted one, so that's one thing. Thank you, Belzy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this one is a little bit different, right? If you look a little closer, and I know that I'm taking myself out of the screen, you're going to be able to see that not only did I quilt through every different dimension of it, there's a square right up here or a block that has a sequins. What is that, guys? An owl? Yeah, a sequins owl in that. And if you turn it over on the back, you can see that I did not crop it out. I actually quilted through the entire thing. How did you do that? I'm glad you asked, right? So let's go ahead and let's talk about that. Um, First of all, I am a lover or stabilizer of all different kinds because it just helps you out. The first thing I can tell you is that I have used in the past when quilting these designs, it's just a water soluble tear away stabilizer, right? So this is just one brand. I'm not promoting it, but it gives you an idea. You'll take your stabilizer and you'll put it just as if this is a regular embroidery, and you can tape it down and then you can stitch all the way through it. And then for some of you who are thinking, yeah, Tina, but you know what? I can't find that stabilizer. You know, can I use another stabilizer? You can use another stabilizer, but I would say, again, if this is something that you want to make sure you're taking care of over the time, you want to use your right tools for the right job. And guess what? Another right tool could be just going to a local grocery store, going down the aisle, and guess what? You pick up saran wrap, or it's called cling wrap, and then you place it over your sequins. So then therefore it's clingy. It's going to stick to that sequence. It's going to keep everything laying flat, as well as it gives you a little bit of extra quilting space. If you have your stabilizer that's peeking through, then guess what? You can use a little bit of 505 glue or 505 spray and just kind of do a temporary adhesive. And then when you're quilting, you're going to use your glide foot. It looks like a little cup, and you're going to quilt over this entire thing so that you're smooth sailing all the way through. Does that make sense? Oh, no.
So I have a question
Yes, ma'am.
on the sequence. So actually, a couple of questions, really.
Okay.
So when my needle goes through that sequence with the stabilizer, is it sticky? Does it get stuck? Have you experienced anything like that?
I have not, simply because I'm not using, when I say if you use 505, guys, I'm not clumping it on. I'm just using a little dot just to secure it for the moment. And what I don't want to happen is a lot of gunk, a lot of buildup to get onto the needle, down into the hook, and then create some type of a situation. So when I'm quilting, I sometimes I quilt backwards. I load my quilt backwards because I may have all the sequin stuff and all the beautiful stuff up top, and I want to do that last. So I quilt whatever is not going to cause me any concern first. And then once I get to the bottom, which is really the top of the quilt, then I can take my time. I change my needle, make sure I have a nice little needle to get through that. And it's totally okay. At this point, that brings me to needles. I use a size 18. As you've probably heard throughout all of the first half, Tina uses an 18 all the time. And I use it for this too, because I may be using an omni thread, or I'm going to use some type of 40 weight thread that's going to go through all of this, and it doesn't cause a lot of problem or buildup for me. So just be careful.
So that 18 needle that you use, Tina, we had touched briefly prior
Yeah.
on different types of needles, right?
Yeah.
So is it a sharp needle?
I knew you were
Is
going
it
there.
a
Yeah.
ballpoint needle? What
Yeah.
type of needle are you using?
Okay, so you can use a sharp needle if you use stabilizer on your back, and because you've just now made your t-shirt material more like a woven cotton fabric. So then you can use that anytime. You can use the sharp needle. But for me, when I'm just doing dozens and dozens and dozens of quilts, what I love to do is just use my my FG, which is a ballpoint needle, and I never, waver from that, and I just keep on going. Um,
Wow.
yeah, from that
Okay.
point. Yeah, does that help?
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. It is
Yeah.
very helpful to know that.
Yeah.
I did have another question.
Okay.
I'm just full of questions.
Yes, good.
You talked about the 505 spray and how you tacked it down and you clarified that it's not sticky, right?
Right.
So could someone baste that stabilizer instead of having to use the 505 spray?
Absolutely, but you want to be careful because as you baste it, it's good and it's really meant for what it is. A temporary use is not meant to be there for the long haul. So when you baste it down, one, make sure you widen your stitch length so that it will just hold everything in place. And it also makes it easier for you to pull that basting stitch out because that may not be too cute. So, but yeah, you can definitely still baste Belzy.
Okay.
Baste it down to keep it where you need to be.
Well, thank you, Tina. I appreciate you answering those questions.
No problem. Okay.
Did we have any questions in the chat?
Please hold.
Okay. As she's looking for any questions, I wanted to say that we still have that same wonderful opportunity for someone to go out and win a $50 gift certificate. Ladies.
So we hashtag HQ memories.
And the hashtag, the pound, the whatever you want to call it, tic-tac-toe board, is going to be HQ memories. That's again, HQ
Memories.
memories. Okay.
Okay, we have a question.
Okay.
Does the needle ever break the sequin?
I have not had that issue as long as the sequins is not one of those very hard sequins. These are all pretty soft sequins, right? So when I say soft sequins, they're not very thick in height. So therefore you are able to quilt through this with no problem. I have gone a little thicker because sometimes you might use patches. And whenever you have those patches, you need to be able to quilt through some of that too. You may not want to, change anything. I will say that my biggest thing that I have to remember is to always put my glide foot on because I just don't know when things are going to change on me, when I'm going to have like a 4 seam or Y seam. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen. And, when people bring you memories, they're bringing you sweaters, they're bringing you sweatshirts, they're bringing you towels from a sporting event. You just don't know what you're working with. And sometimes, I'm going to tell you the truth, you're working with material that is much harsher than the sequins. Yeah. Patches are a little bit more of effort for the machine to go through, but we definitely go through that, and you can kind of see it right here. This is a pretty thick part. And this was all done with one needle. I really didn't have to change it. And then when you turn it over, it still quilted out just fine. It was not a problem. And if you look at the back, you'll see that, again, I kind of changed out the things that I actually use on the back. My memory quilts now, I'm kind of known for using a lot of cuddle fabric. And cuddle fabric is the same thing as minky fabric. Again, there are people who have, they play to their senses and they want to feel warm and they want to feel comforted. They're really not looking for something that is going to be lightweight. They're looking for something to just drape them and keep them comfortable. And on top of it, when you use cuddle and you use different fabrics, this creates a texture that is just, one, it's soft, but it looks really, really cool, right?
Awesome. Tina, I wanted to ask you something else.
Sure.
On the cuddle fabric. So do you experience any pull on this? Do you stabilize that, or are you just stabilizing your t-shirts?
I just stabilize my t-shirts. Now, I will say with your cuddle fabric, especially your traditional cuddle fabric that we were always, that was really easily accessible. I get cuddle fabric made by Shannon. And when I use that, then it had a stretch in one direction more so than it did in the other. So when I lay it down, well, whenever I actually load that cuddle fabric onto my machine, then I tend to put the non-stretchy part going this direction and then the stretchy part going this direction. And I just make sure not to stretch it out of bounds, right? I
Gotcha.
just kind of, I loosen up the tension a little bit and I let it quilt on top. Do I use some type of batting with my cuddle fabric? It depends on the person. If they say that they want something that's pretty weighty, then yeah, I just go ahead and put a layer in there and they're typically, okay with that. Now, I will say that I do know that Cuddle is making a different type of quiltable fabric, which has a lot less stretch in both directions, and they have pretty cool designs. So that's something to always consider too. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and move this out the way.
Perfect. Thank
you.
you.
All right. So now we're just going to move on. Traditional quilts. I want to get to the place where we're actually quilting and showing you how to create things using the machine. But until we get there, I just wanted to kind of give you, oh, look at that. Look at all these wonderful designs. This is the Cuddle fabric, and this is Shannon. This one is called Meet Me in the Garden Quilting Cuddle Collection. So the pile on it is not as high, but look at all of these wonderful
Oh, Tina,
options. They're
those
just
colors
gorgeous.
are just so yummy.
Yeah,
They're
they are.
beautiful.
They really, really are. So this is a good thing. Okay, here we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So then here we go. So when we're creating our memory quilts, one of the things you want to think about is when you've decided to get everything all pieced together, which type of design do I want? Well, first and foremost, if you get a design that has movement in it and it has like stars, it has stripes, it has all different types of animals, well, for me, I think those are all wonderful and they're gorgeous, but I tend not to quilt those very densely simply because I'm now taking away from someone's memory by trying to put a lot of quilting in. So then I just kind of loosen it up, right? So if you look at this one, this definitely has the stars. And if you go out to ProStitcher.com, or if you already have ProStitcher, this is already a design that's already there. So you just go look through it.
Yeah. So Tina, you mentioned ProStitcher, and you actually mentioned a couple of things. I heard you talk about the glide foot. You talked about adding batting with your cuddle fabric, and you talked about, again, ProStitcher.
Yeah.
So right now we have a fantastic promotion, right?
Yeah, we do.
have the pick your own bundle. And so if you're ready to go ahead and start your business or just jumpstart and dip your toes into quilting, we have 3 options that you can pick from, right? So you can pick your batting and your thread kit, which I'm sure as you were starting your business, that would have probably been,
Valuable.
Exactly.
Valuable.
It just, you're ready to go. You have your quilt tops, your backing, and let's get it done, right? So then we also have the highlight, which you can actually see right here in front of us. We don't have it on as it is very bright, but for those of us that like me, very blind, need that additional lighting is fantastic to have. Or if you have your long arm in a basement or somewhere where your lighting isn't as great, right? That highlight really makes that big difference. And then ProStitcher, as you were talking about ProStitcher, getting the design. So ProStitcher does come with a lot of designs already preloaded. I want to say over 700 on ProStitcher. No, 900?
800.
800.
Yeah.
And on premium, yes,
premium,
absolutely,
ProStitcher
on
Premium.
ProStitcher Premium. But you have a $500 gift certificate that you can use on ProStitcher.com. And so, of course, although it has a lot of designs already built in, the option to go ahead and go through that library and look at the different designs is fantastic. We had Kim earlier talk about the fact that she had made a golf quilt, right? And so she went on ProStitcher.com, and being able to find that design that fit her quilt perfectly is, the endless possibilities of being able to pick your own design. So again, I'm going to highlight the 3 different types of bundles that you can pick from if you decide that this is the opportunity to pick and grow your quilting journey. Is we have the quilting batting, the batting, and we have the thread kit.
Yes.
We also have the ProStitcher designs and the highlight.
Yeah. So thank you. So, it's kind of interesting because she was talking about all the wonderful things that would have been great for me to have when I started my business. And I probably should have mentioned this at the top of the hour. So let me just go ahead and talk about it now. When I started my business, it was a while ago, and it was over 6 years ago. It started with my husband and I relocating from Florida to Texas. And in Florida, I taught school 4th and 5th grade for a good period of time, several years. And long story short, I ended up, quilting and making things for others as my boys were in school and trying to make cute things and wonderful things. And because I am truly a natural born giver, I only really want to make someone happy. That is a pro and it is a con, right? So when it all said and done, when I create these memory quilts, it really isn't always about the money that is made for me. It was originally for sure about how can I bring some type of joy to someone else. And a lot of that is capturing what is theirs and reimagining it, re-upcycling it, or recycling or upcycling what they have and creating something that's pretty unique and pretty fun. So that's where we are, right? And if your skill set where you're only ready to, quilt something that has just basic rows, columns and rows, then you just, you do that. This is something that's great. Take the time. I like to, you're learning more and more about me. I like to make things line up and have precise stitch lines. So wherever I have two pieces of material meeting, another set of two pieces of material, I like to nest my seams and I like for them to look as if it's just one straight line. If you're not there and you can just get the material sewn together, guess what? It is okay because it's something that you created and it's something that someone wants from you. And then speaking of, I am going to take the time just to say, there's a quilt that's hanging behind me. And I think,
Mhm.
Belzy and I talked about it probably a little bit more earlier on. Before I really dove into the world of creating my own business, I was challenged by my husband to create something special for him, right? So he was looking at this going out, looking at that going out. And, I don't know if it was just a little, I'm a little not nervous, but
Jealous?
jealous. That's the word. So I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and let me just do this. Let me create something that's very special. So in the back, you'll see that I have a quilt here. This is the quilt that has probably put my quilting business on the map. If you're ever considering trying to create your own business, I would say try to think of something that's outside of the box, something that people would like to see, something that is different, because that's essentially what they're looking for. They want to know that you did something to make them feel special. Then you're going to feel special here. You can add sashing and borders for sure. They're going to feel special because it's their memories. But then when you take the time to upcycle it a little bit, even more, whether you're adding pictures of the family, notice, yes, I had black hair at one point, right? And I didn't have braids, it was just straight. So, my little family of four, it's there. In this, it's just memories of everything about him, whether it was my son creating his own business. Don't take the time to go out to that website, non existent. He was only 12 years old when he created the business, and I think it may have lasted 13, 14 years. Proud of you, but that was just the first part of his journey. So then other things that you can do, that you get these pockets and you're like, what do I do with these pockets? Well, guess what? Most of them are about 4 inches or 5 inches. You can actually use this pattern. I think you may be able to purchase it. There's a link I think that they're going to add, and you can pop things right inside of each one of these windows and it frames it out nicely. So the name of this quilt is called Diamonds and Pearls, right? So we have a heavy baseball background, and it's a reference back to diamonds and pearls of the baseball field and all the bases that go around it. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea
Wow.
about that,
That's
right?
beautiful, Tina. So, to ask a question about that pattern,
Yes.
I know we had said that they're going to put it, or they might be linking it on the live in the chat. Is this something on your website? And remind me, what's your website?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to tell you guys, first and foremost, it is so hard to get in front of the camera and talk to you guys about myself. I'd rather talk about everybody but myself. But my website is sewisaid.com, and it's SEWISAID. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about another way in which you can kind of create something and make it a little bit different. This is just another quilt that you can use and that you can make. It's called, I, it's basically Irish influenced. And you're thinking, Tina, I know you're not Irish. And I'm going to tell you, I know I'm not Irish. But one of my sons went to Ireland. And when he went to Ireland, right, he had an internship and he studied during his undergraduate years. So I decided to make something for him that was going to be wall size or lap size, depending on whatever he needed in his life. And if you notice it, a lot of people take the time and when they're quilting, they quilt less dense. I chose to quilt a little bit more dense because I made my stipple pattern which is also in ProStitcher, something that is already there. You don't even have to purchase it. I made it a little bit smaller so that it would look nice, but more importantly, when I turned it over and I used the cuddle fabric on the back, you can really see the texture on the back, and it looks really, really cool. And I couldn't do that if I didn't have the help of ProStitcher, simply because my free motioning skills, they're good, but I can start in one point and I'm doing great. But by the time I get to the end, just know that I created it for you and I love you. And that's all I got to say about that one. So here we go. Here we go. So now we're done. So now, guys, I want to take the time and just kind of do a project with you. I think we're a little bit into it. We probably have another hour, 15 minutes or so. So I just wanted to take the time and, create a little memory that one of the ladies here graduated from Stanford. And I decided, it's like, you know what? Let's make something special for her. So when you are concerned about your piecing abilities and you don't know whether or not you're going to line everything up exactly the same way, then I say, hey, make it on purpose. Purposely not make it perfect. So then it creates something different. So if you look at this a little bit more carefully, you'll see that, I have a couple of t-shirts. And yes, I did piece them before here only just to save time. But could I have done all this on the machine? Absolutely. And so I decided, I was like, okay, I laid a format out. I made a plan. I said, you know what? I'm going to stick with this plan and do something. So now here I am. I have another strip, right? And on this strip, I have a couple of 4.5-inch blocks and then a 20-inch block in the middle. So when I lay it down on top of each other, ultimately, I am going to want my quilt to look just like this. Can you see that? Okay.
So you're really maximizing the amount of fabric that you have on your t-shirts.
I am. So these t-shirts, they came in varying sizes, right? So when they came in varying sizes, they may have been like a child size shirt, or it could have been I don't know, an adult woman's small shirt. And then you may have an extra large shirt. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I thought I was over here, but I am right back with you, right? So you have these varying sizes and you're like, okay, what can I do with that? So I purposely made it imperfect and I made it something that I thought was going to be visually appealing. And I laid it out and I said, you know what? Let's do something. Let's create something with this. So this is going to be kind of like an oversized bench pillow. You could go to the grocery store or not the grocery store, like a regular big box store, and you can pick up a pillow, slip it in there, and wouldn't this be a wonderful one? It's either treasured memory, or two, it could be something that if your child is going off to school, guess what? They can have this, put it on their bed, and create a lot of unique. You're creating a unique memory because every person that comes into that room, they're going to say, "Oh, that is so cool! Where did you get that? I want one."
Absolutely.
Which could be the start of your own business.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so let's go ahead and let's get started and I'll show you how we're going to create this, right? We're just going to do the top and we're going to take this and we're going to do a method that's called stitch and flip, right? So I'm going to take my machine and I've already clamped my backing. I have batting on. And if you look at this batting, it really is just my regular 80-20. It has kind of like a low loft into it. So that's something that, I want you to consider when you are looking at this because it's going to add a little bit of depth when you are quilting your material. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is I like to use a square foot. So we're going to change our actual foot on this machine. And we're going to use a square foot. Yeah. Thank you. So I have my hex tool. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to get in here and I'm going to loosen this screw because I want to remove this glide foot. And as I am removing this glide foot, a lot of times people try to use their hands to lift it up. I can tell you at times, I'm getting a little older, my hands get tired. And so whether it is my friend arthritis coming to visit me or not, I have to have a little bit of extra leverage. So what I do is I take the time to be safe and try to be as controlled as possible with this. Be careful because you don't want to pop a tool back into your face. But what I do is I actually just put it into the screw, and then I lift up the foot and it comes off. And notice how I am still grasping this. This gives me a little bit of leverage. I let go. And then I'm going to change it out, and I'm going to put this square foot on. If you purchase this square foot, the cool thing about it is you get a couple of different sizes. We're just going to stick with the 1/4 inch for right now. The other one I think is like maybe 5/8 of an inch or something. Am I right with that? I'm not quite certain, but I'm going to show you how you use your square foot.
And you know what's great about what we're doing is we actually have the HQ hashtag HQ memories. So you can definitely go ahead and put that in the chat. So you have the chance to win a $50 gift card, and
Right.
you can use that for the square feet, the glide foot that you were talking about.
Yeah.
That is definitely one of my go-tos for sure. And I mean, anything that we have on handyquilter.com, you could use for that gift card.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a perfect time. Your accessories are a wonderful thing. Or if you just wanted to get a machine, feel free to use it. Or if you just want to, mail it to Tina in Texas, hey, I'm all about it.
She's
Take
like,
your time.
I'll take it.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a basting stitch to go across the middle portion of my quilt. So whenever I lay my quilt out, I'm trying to kind of keep this all within one throat space as much as possible. So therefore, no matter which machine size you have and whatever t-shirt quilt size that you're using, you can shrink it or you can make it bigger. It all depends on the t-shirts that you have available. It's up to you. If you have to advance your quilt, it's not the end of the day. Just do it. It's no big deal. Just have fun along the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just getting a good look at where I want everything to line up. And I'm trying to figure out if it's all going to fit like in a throat space. So it's usually going to be like a 1/4 inch overlap between the bottom portion of the quilt and the top. And I'm going to go to the top to see, okay, do I have room up here? I do. I like to have at least a finger back here, sometimes 2 fingers of quilting space. And then I'm just going to travel down over to t-shirt to see, okay, what am I working with now? Do I have it? I think I dropped something. So then when I pull it all the way to this direction, then I'm almost there. So maybe, you know what? Maybe I might want to scoot it up a little bit. But I think we're just going to stick for what we have right now. Okay.
So Tina, I want to ask you, why do you like to have that finger space between your bar and your machine when you're quilting?
That's a good question. The main reason why I like to have a finger space behind this section of the long arm is because in the event I decide I wanted to quilt something, and as I quilt it and it has to stray and hit that front bar, what's going to happen is I'm going to throw my motor alignment out, and it's not the end of the world, but I'm trying to reduce the number of times that I have to go back and realign and readjust and do things. So that's what I do. I make sure that I have some space here, and when I come down here, I try not to hit my bars because it now becomes it becomes a situation where I'm trying to protect my machine for the long haul. So I try not to do that.
So is
Yeah.
that when you're using ProStitcher, or is it when you're doing your free motion? Because you mentioned
It's both,
Okay.
because when I'm doing my ProStitcher, it just really depends on the design.
Mhm.
Some of the designs might loop and go up and past a certain point.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I have plenty of clearance there. But then whenever I'm doing free motion, I'm not going to lie. My best work is one time when I'm outside of the bounds, right? So I may stitch and stitch and stitch, and I may go up just a little bit because I might have forgotten one section that I need to travel back to,
Mhm.
stitch a little bit, and then I can come back off and come over. And if I have the room to move back up here, then that gives me the most flexibility to create something that I really love, right? So getting back to it, let's go ahead and we're going to do a basting stitch. And if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to use ProStitcher for a little bit to kind of help me out while creating this. So I'm going to pull this back, and I'm just going to put my my foot over my quilt, and I'm going to go probably maybe a little bit greater than a fourth of an inch, if not a fourth of an inch. Remember, I have my fourth of an inch square foot on my machine, and that just basically means my needle is going to be a fourth of an inch away from the edge of the quilt. So we get our fourth of an inch quilt allowance or seam allowance. So I'm just going to go ahead, and at this point, I'm going to go over here to ProStitcher, and I'm going to use what's called channel locks to create just one straight stitch. All right, so we're going to go over here to ProStitcher, and I read from left to right because sometimes I might forget. I don't know. I'm just going to look. Half stitch, no. Full stitch, no. Baste, where is it? Where is it? Quilt. Okay, I'm not ready to quilt yet. I am going to hit my channel lock. So I touch the channel lock. After I've touched my channel lock, then I have to make a decision, right? If I'm going to do a vertical lock, a vertical stitch, or a horizontal stitch. In this case, what do you think I'm going to do?
I would say you're going to go horizontally. Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
yeah, nope. I'm going left to right. Horizontal is kind of like where the sun sets. I'm
Mhm.
going to make sure that stitch goes across. Before I move any further, I do want to show you on the back, each shirt is stabilized. And so that will help me create some more smoother, a smoother line. So now that I have this, I'm in the area where I'm going to want to start. What do you think I'm going to go from here? What button do you think I need to? I've touched channel lock. Am I ready to stitch yet?
Hmm. Well, I think you haven't told it what you want to lock yet. So I think that
Yeah.
might be the next step.
We got to go back. So let's make sure we touch our horizontal lock. So Belsey, go ahead and touch it.
And that's all I have to do?
And that is all you have to
Oh my
do.
gosh.
Yeah.
That is
So try to
so
move your
easy.
machine forward and back.
It won't do it.
It won't do it. Left and right, will it do it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Look at
now I'm ready
that.
to make, I'm ready to make my stitch. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this out of the way just a little bit because I now know about where I want to start. And instead of lining up my first line, I'm actually lining up my second row of quilt blocks. So I am going to bring my bobbin thread up, move it out of the way. And I have my bobbin thread. Don't know if you can really see it. It's kind of thin. And then also my top thread. I'm going to hold both of these in my hand, and I can do a tie-off stitch, or I can just do a basting stitch, go back and forth. So I'm just going to do the basting stitch, go back and forth, and then I'm going to drive all the way across. And yes, I said drive. So in order to do that, I'm going to press the play pause. Oh my goodness. Does that look like a basting stitch? That looks like I'm really stitching. I got to figure out how can I make this a basting stitch? Where do I go from here, Belsey? What do you think?
You know, Tina, what I love about ProStitcher is I'm looking at the screen and everything just seems very straightforward, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about channel lock and I hit the channel lock button and I locked horizontally and it was just a press of two buttons,
Right.
right? So then I'm looking at my screen and I have this button right here that says baste. Could I press that?
Let's try it and see.
So now I looks like I've had
I'm going to let you do it. Just baste all the way across.
Basting stitch.
And basting stitches, guys, that can be anywhere. A basting stitch is what you want it to be. For me, we're going to do probably about a quarter of an inch. I have basted with maybe an inch, a half inch. It just depends on what I'm looking for.
All right, girlfriend, it's in your realm. I'm going to let you take the wheel.
So notice she stitched, but it's still moving. Every time I move the machine, it's still stitching. What do you think we need to do, guys? Pause. Let's stop that, right? The record player needs to stop playing the song, right? So I'm just going to move this over out the way, and then I'm going to bring up my bobbin thread again. It's like a tie off. And then I'm going to use
Oh, don't you
the
just love
scissors.
that
Oh my
magnetic
goodness.
strip?
Yes, because then I don't have to look for it that hard, which is pretty cool. All right, so now that I have this one stitch, I am now just going to, this just simple and easy. I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to make sure I'm lining up my quilt probably to this line a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to come back over And I'm thinking, okay, this is wonderful. It's all laid up. Do I want to stitch this down? Well, I want to actually stitch less than I have to. Call this lazy, but call it true, right? I'm going to take this and I could lay this on top and I could stitch all the way across. I could use chenille it. I could use all kinds of things just to create this, right? Um, just to kind of cover up this seam. But I don't want my seams to be seen. So what I'm going to do is I am now going to do a method called flip and stitch. So notice I'm taking this top material and I'm flipping it over the other side and I'm lining it up all the way across.
Wow. So Tina, it
Yep.
looks like you're sewing on
Yeah,
your quilting
I'm
machine.
actually sewing on my
You
quilting
are
machine.
piecing on it. That
Yeah.
is fantastic. So not
Yeah.
only can we piece, but we can also quilt.
Yeah. And let's talk about something else that most of you probably can see is that you have my seams, they're all ironed flat, but they're all ironed open. So that gives me the opportunity to, whenever I'm quilting and it doesn't get so bulky. And when someone gets ready to use this as a pillow, they lay their head down on it. They're not feeling all of these seams, right? They don't feel the bulk. So I'm trying to make this a memory and comfortable and something they want to keep. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll come over, I'll lift up this, and I would like to come back down, but I'm having a hard time getting there. What do you think I need to do?
I think we need to unlock it.
Yeah, we unlock it by hitting the horizontal, and then we're just going to come over, and I'm lining my foot to the edge of the material. So if you look closely, you can see that the material edge is here, and then the edge of the square foot is here. So I'm lining this up so that I can stitch all the way across. Now, when I use my square foot, I can use this, right? Even when I'm stitching things together. Could you change to a glide foot?
I don't see why not.
You could change to a glide foot. We're not going to do it yet, but we could change to a glide foot. Why would we want to change to a glide foot? I'll tell you why. Because when you get here, well, this is going to do its hopping, and it probably is going to hop over this. But in the event that it didn't, and you had a glide foot, would you happen to have that?
Yeah.
That glide foot, it looks like a cup. So therefore, see the cup? Then as you stitch across, it's just going to stitch without lifting the material all the way across. But I just want to make sure that I'm staying in alignment with my 1/4 inch so that when I put everything down, it's going to look nice and clean. So
And so
you want to hold
Tina,
that?
is this the glide foot 3?
Yeah. So let me tell you, important. Look at this. This is such a cool thing. Handy Quilter takes the time to make sure they deliver quality to you, right? So could they have just given you a plastic foot? Well, yeah, they could have. And in the old days past, that's where it started. But just like any good thing, as you age, it gets better. You know,
Like
fine as wine,
what?
right? Type of thing. But they've added a little silver support bracket on the inside of this machine, of the inside of this foot. So this allows you to screw it in and it keeps the foot from breaking easily. So they thought about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add on to that is they, like you said, the older foots, they didn't have this metal mesh, right? And so it really goes to show that we hear what you're experiencing
Yeah.
and your demands. And so we heard from our quilters and said, we
Yeah.
have to reconfigure and figure out how to solve this issue. Not only that, I personally really appreciate the fact that it is clear. So I can see
Absolutely.
through it.
Yeah.
So I know there might be other stuff out there, but that clear foot makes such a difference.
Guys, what she's really telling you, we kind of had a conversation when I first purchased my machine, and I was looking at the different components of the machine. I was looking at the different components of the machine, and I was like, okay, well, first of all, I looked at the leaders. The leaders are these pieces of fabric that hold your quilts in place. And then when I looked at this leader, I looked at it and it was made of Velcro. And I was like, it has Velcro attachment on it. I was like, why do we have, oh no, not Velcro. And I tell you what, I loaded my quilt wrong one day, and I have to tell you, I was very grateful for the engineers at Handy Quilter. Why? Because all I had to do was just take this off and re-Velcro it. And I was like, you know what? Tina zips her lip. So now I was looking at the same thing with the actual glide foot. And I was like, man, this is plastic. And they said, well, I'm wondering, okay, they didn't fail me with the leaders. What's up with the plastic? Well, and like this, in this project, I'm wondering, okay, if I put my glide foot on and it's made of nothing but metal, I can't see what I'm stitching. I am stitching in the blind. So yes, now I am just very, 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 very happy that Handy Quilter thought about me before I thought about them, because I did not know I was going to need to have the ability to see where I'm stitching and not have a situation. So yes, that's that.
Tina, I think that's where
Yeah.
our slogan comes from.
Yeah.
For quilters,
By
by quilters.
Exactly. So, all right, guys, let's just go ahead and get this done. I'm going to go ahead and hit the horizontal lock. Um, do I have to hit that horizontal lock? I don't have to, because sometimes, we don't always have a perfectly square situation. Actually, I'm going to take it off. So then you can see me actually stitch along this line and keep it straight using just my square foot. I'm going to now take this time to take off a basting stitch, and I'm going to go from here. And this is when, oh, should I have that on there? I probably could have had a glide foot on there, but I've already started. I want to keep going. So what am I going to do at this point in time? I'm just going to lift this up a little bit, and I'm making sure that I'm staying, my edge is still across that 1/4 of an inch away from my material. And then I'm just going to move across. I stop and make sure that I'm still in alignment, right, with my basting stitch, and then also with the top. Notice how I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the way. There's no need in me sewing or stitching my fingers today. I don't think you guys want to see my blood. I don't want to feel the pain. I'm just looking ahead. I'm not going super slow, but I'm doing something that is going to be comfortable for me. So I'm going to lift this up again. Could I use a needle down? I could, to hold my position and lift this up and just make sure the fabric guns underneath. And then we can do this. And then there we go, right? So this is a wonderful thing. Now all we have to do is flip it over. And what I like to do is do a little needle press, and sometimes I have a ruler foot underneath here, or ruler base, and that allows me just to do a finger press and it lays flat. And it looks pretty cool. What do you think, Miss Belzy?
I think that is phenomenal. I mean, the fact that you can not only quilt, but you can piece on your Longarm machine. And I mean, it was so simple.
Yeah.
You just whipped it out in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, didn't take long at all. If you're looking for this fun project to get done in record-breaking time because you just don't have time, this may be something that you would want to consider, right? So then, can I go back through and baste everything down? I could, and at this point, I probably will. I'll baste, and I'm going to baste using my 1/4 foot at this point.
So, Tina, would there be a reason why you wouldn't use your square foot for your basting, or does it really matter?
For me, it really does.
She had to think
It
about
doesn't really matter. So, it's kind of funny because she said, why would I use it for my basting? I can use any foot that I want to. It's not going to make a difference for this project of what I'm doing. So for me, I tend to like using my square foot a lot, simply because when it's time to put binding on something, I'm using the square foot so that the binding is attached before I take it off the frame. Makes life so much simpler. Whenever I'm putting a pillow back on here and everything is all lined up, then I like to use my 1/4 inch or my other foot, my 5/8 inch, because then I'm able to see exactly what I'm doing, and it's basted down. And because it's going to be basted down, it's going to be over, it's not going to be seen. So that's where I would be. So I'm just going to baste this at a 1/4 inch. Could I baste it a little bit less? Of course, I could move it over, but I'm just going to keep it at a 1/4 inch and I'm just going to baste. Would you like to baste or you want me to baste?
Go for it. Go.
Notice how I am just starting where my machine was, right? I'm not really paying attention to which direction I'm in. I just want to baste it down because it's just going to keep it in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop and then make sure, there we go. I've tightened up my my backing. My backing was pretty flimsy. I always want to be able to put my finger in, at least grab at least to my fingernail. I don't have long fingernails, so therefore just getting down to the base of my little fingernail is probably good enough so that whenever I'm stitching, I'm not giving it a lot of tension on it, because if there's like a lot of tension and I have these clamps and you see how this material can stretch this direction, guess what's going to happen? When I take it off, it's going to pop back like a rubber band because stitching actually takes up some space. So let's just move forward from here. Okay. Now, can I go the other direction? I sure can. I'm just holding it down. I'm not making it perfect. I just want this down. Oh, I'm going off. I'm going off. I'm going off. What do I do? I don't know. First of all, let's turn the machine off. So whenever I move something, I'm not going to stitch anything. Well, let's get back on track. What I like to do at this point is just kind of like move my machine up over again, right? Notice how I'm not trying to stretch my material, but work my material towards my machine. Trying to maintain that 1/4 inch to the side. I'm off a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to change my foot. I'm going to put my glide foot on.
You know, Tina, I love the fact that you showed how you can accidentally get off the track that the path that you're stitching on, but how simple it was to fix and how forgiving it is, not only because you're basting, but I mean, you quickly, calm and smooth and collected, and you just went back and went right over it.
That's right. It's not about stressing yourself out. When you are quilting, this is really meant to be a time in which you can kind of relax and enjoy the process. And if you ever get to the point where you begin to make mistakes in your quilting, well, what I like to do at that point is just say, you know what, I'm going to take a break from this and I'm coming back. And that's all you need to do. And when you come back, you have a clearer head, a better perspective on what you're doing. So see how easy it was for me to get that leverage. I tightened it and I do one last little just to make sure that, it's in there. I'm not over tightening it and I'm not keeping it loose to where it's going to fall off. It doesn't make any sense to make yourself frustrated. Let's not do that. So now you're going to see how easy it is to use your glide foot, which that needle is also a 1/4 inch away from the inner portion of your foot. And we're just going to pull up our bobbin thread once again.
Tina, I'm noticing something
What's
on
that?
this machine as you're pinpointing where you're about to start. That little red dot right there.
Yes.
Yes, that laser light. Would you say you use that quite frequently?
I use it all the time. So one of the things I have to say is if you have an Amara, here, I'm just talking all over the place. If you have an Amara system where it's an Amara 20, 24, or, even the Infinity for some of you who are grandfathered into that, I will say that pinpoint laser light makes all the difference in the world, because it means wherever I'm trying to stitch, that's where my needle is going to be. It lines everything up automatically. Now, for those of you who are Moxie users, don't fret. Handy Quilter thought about you too.
Absolutely.
Why? Because they have what, Belzy?
They have I don't want to call it a conversion kit, but they have an additional, I guess I'm being cute. they have an external laser light or laser attachment that you can add to your Moxie family. I'm gonna move back this way so Miss
Okay.
Tina can quilt. So let's use
So see, go ahead. You
Oh.
talk and I'll quilt.
Oh, no, you're good. I was gonna say, as you start moving that direction, I did want to go ahead and take the time. We were talking about the laser light, but I did want to take the time to kind of touch topic on our handy quilter users that have been a long time handy quilter user, right? That might have the original HQ16 or might have an older model machine, and we do offer trade up. And, right now would be a great opportunity for you to go ahead and grow in your quilting journey and have more of those bells and whistles, right? If we're looking for that laser light, as you heard Tina uses all the time, I know I do too. That baste feature is fantastic to have. We have our sales team on call. So if you do have any additional questions or what retailers are participating in the straight up program, I definitely suggest you call the number on the screen and see, what we can work out and what additional information there is out there for those older models, or even if you have a machine that might not necessarily be a handy quilter machine. We are looking at different brands that you maybe weren't your cup of tea, or you've grown out of it and you want to join the handy quilter family. So go ahead and call that number on the screen, and our sales team would be happy to assist you and answer any additional questions you may have.
As she was talking about that, you guys noticed that I went ahead and I showed you something that you can do easily when you're at home, just in case that your project doesn't fit within your throat space. Remember how I didn't adjust this to make sure it all fit within the frame of my quiltable space. It fits in my frame, but not my quiltable space. What I did is when I got to this bottom row, instead of worrying about trying to get down here and then going ahead and actually quilting everything on this bottom row, I decided that, you know what, the best thing that I can do is just widen my basting stitch. And you saw me widen it to a 1/2 inch. Why? Because when I quilt over the entire thing, I want to have the ability to come back through and pick all this out, right? So let's go ahead and let's go into ProStitcher and let's find a nice little edge to edge design. So what do you want to do? I'm going to let you do this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So let's take a look at our screen. So I know I want to add a design, and that's more than likely in a file, correct?
It is.
All right. So then I'm going to go on that top ribbon
But
and
wait,
click. Oh, okay.
if she were to stitch at that point in time, go back to ProStitcher. What do you guys see that's highlighted that we probably need to just take off?
Our basting stitch.
Our basting stitch. Let's go ahead and take our channel locks and our basting stitch off. All right.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Alrighty. So I'm going to go to file.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I'm thinking about a design. So clearly, like I love it. I love that it's so straightforward. So I go into design,
Yeah.
and I'm going to open a this little file folder here.
Yes.
And
When she's talking about everything and you see this on ProStitcher, guys, notice that one, she's looking for things, but when she's pressing things, you have a ribbon, you have tabs, and if nothing else, this is going to remind you of working in some type of Windows-based program like Word or something like that. So it's a setup with the same thing. Again, Handy Quilter is doing a great job trying to make this as user-friendly for the tools that you've used in the past to bring them to present. So this is all that we're doing, is just making it as simple as possible. But let's find that design that you want to use.
so Tina, I mean, there's just so much to pick from.
Yeah.
I am just amazed at how much there is on here. I think I want something not too busy because I want to accentuate what I have here. Could I do something like, let's see, can I do something pretty? I like this floral, but that is a little busy and tight for me. Is there a way that I can adjust that and make that a
Sure,
little?
we might have an Irish Stanford grad. So let's try this out.
Let's go ahead and open it. Okie dokie.
Okay, so we have our clovers there and they all look really good. And right now, if you look to the side, it says that it is 9.55 in width and 9.49 in height. That's all registered in basically in inches, right?
Mhm.
So that's 10 inches worth of a design.
Okay.
So if we wanted to make it smaller, we can,
Mhm.
right? There's a couple of ways to get to everything that you want to do. And it may be 3 or 4 ways. So if you can't remember which direction that you want to go, or you can't remember, you look at file, does that make sense to change this? Well, I don't know. Over here, do I go to edit? Can I go to edit and change it? Maybe. Area, maybe. You keep talking to yourself until it becomes second nature. Now, over here on the side, it says clover, the width is 9.55. We could change our dimensions here.
Mhm.
But let's try to go not to file, not to edit, not to area, but let's try modify.
Okay.
Let's see what we get. All right. So now that we have modify and we're looking at this, I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, do I want to crop this? Do I want to resize? I'm looking at everything. On my second row, that's considered to be your your tabs,
Mhm.
ribbon
Yeah.
tabs, right?
Tabs.
So I have no. Yeah. Okay. I'm
Um,
on camera and I can't remember for whatever reason. Tina Robinson. So Tina, this is our ribbon. So then we're going to go over here and we're going to look. And then and I said, yeah, my maiden name. Sorry about that, but that's how I have to think about how do I get to whatever I'm looking for. The first row is all considered tabs. The second row is our ribbon. I start with ribbon. I look at baseline. That doesn't make sense. Rotate doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Reposition. What do you
Mm,
think?
I mean, I could reposition it, but Tina, what I was thinking is, in my personal journey as far as quilting, I usually set an area. Are we missing something? Should I set my area first?
You know what? That's the age-old debate. Do I set my area first or do I set my design first? You can do both. It has worked seamlessly for me for both. I know there are videos and I know there's several people out there. When you guys go out and you try to figure out how to do something, can I encourage you to always stick on the Handy Quilter channels simply because there's so many people out there. We just want to make sure that you're getting the right Handy Quilter information the way it was intended for you to have. So always feel free to go out to Handy Quilter, whether you're in YouTube and you can look at previous videos, or you can go out to handyquilter.com and you're going to, slide all the way over until you see learn. And then when you get to learn, you'll have the opportunity to go into Handy Quilter videos that are either
Yeah.
on YouTube or something that's just up there and that's going to help you. But we're already in it. So what do you want to do here?
So I was going to add on to that. I
Yeah.
know ProStitcher.com, we actually have like a library, right, where
Yeah.
I can search and see what type of, if I'm having any sort of difficulty trying to remember something that I, want to
Yeah.
quilt out. So ProStitcher.com is definitely also an asset. I think I would feel comfortable setting my area first, personally. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'm not going to argue with her. We're just going to do it as she likes. Now, if we were going to set our area, we have a couple of options. We can set our area for just a block. Like we see the one little block that's black, just like plain black fabric. It was just a remnant from this Stanford shirt. She can go in and, go in through ProStitcher Designs and she can find something that she absolutely loves and just pop it in there. Maybe she can find a clover. We could crop out a clover. There's so many things that you can do in order to personalize this quilt to make it your own. But remember, this is something we have to get going. We're going to this graduation party and we need to have this done in record-breaking time. So therefore, it's still cute, it's still unique, but we're trying to get it done. So let's go ahead. Let's do as you say. Let's clear everything out.
Do a tree.
Trees.
Okay, we can
Okay,
look for
Stanford
some
and
trees.
trees.
So,
Smart.
please walk me through what I'm doing again. I'm setting my area, correct?
Right. So the first thing she did, guys, is that she cleared everything up. So she probably went to file and then she hit clear all in the actual ribbon. So when she did that, that cleared everything that was on the screen. Was that the only way that she could have cleared everything? No. She could have just simply done an undo and get back. Undo is one of our favorite little tools, right?
Mhm.
So then let's go ahead and we've gone into our tab and we've tabbed all the way over till we found area. Well, we see that we have an area. Let's go ahead and set this up. So,
Alrighty.
um,
So Tina, I am seeing these two little icons on my screen that have something that says two corner and multi-point, and they have
sure.
two different designs. One has a little star and one has a little diamond. And what I saw on my machine, on my handlebars, is that I actually have those icons on there.
That's right.
Um, I can use my handlebars to set my area.
Absolutely.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So for the Amara series, this is one of those little benefits, one of those little perks that it has. It's intended to make it a lot easier for you. So let's go ahead. That star coincides to the left side handlebar that has a star on it. And she pressed it. If you noticed closely when she pressed it, there was a little on the side, on the right side, little words that just kind of floated down like snow, right? And it's very sweet, just to let you know that you did give it a command. So let's go ahead and let's do that.
Fantastic. So I have set this one and I can see it on my screen. So what I did is I just hit that little home button to refresh it. I'm going to hand over the machine to you since it's on your side.
Sure. And I'm just going to come as far as I can. And yes, I might even touch the bar. You'll feel where the end of the machine actually has like a little edge, a little lip, and it's going to touch the machine. And we're going to go ahead, and I'm not going to press the actual multi-point. I'm going to touch the two corner. And when I do that, then it's going to be very simple. All I have to do is I want to see everything. It's like I only see a portion, Belzy. I want to see everything. And so, like for me, home comforts me all the time. I want to go back home so that I can see what I'm supposed to be doing, right? So let's go ahead. And I'm not going to actually press center. I could press it, but I'm going to press the home on the bottom row. And then it brings everything into view where I can see it, right? So now I have everything. But Tina, you didn't necessarily get that last inch or so. So Belzy, what do you think we do in order to get that last inch?
Oh man, Tina, I don't know if I know.
Yeah.
What do I do?
What you do is you're going to come over here to the right. There's a sidebar, right? Over here to your right. And then you're just going to go ahead, and I like to add an extra few inches just to play with. It says that this is 28 and so inches by 14 and so inches. Let's just go ahead and add, a few extra inches. All you do is touch it. And then Belzy, go ahead, change it to like maybe 17.
Alrighty, so can I oh, wonderful. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in 17, hit enter.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Right. So
Yeah.
this is a really cool thing that you can do. And so once she's done that, then we're going to go over here and let's pull in a design.
Okay. So like we did earlier, so we go into file, I'm going to go ahead and select my design. And Tina, I can see that the design that I had selected prior is at the very top. How cool is that? The fact that it remembers what I just had in there. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, wait, Lily said trees. So you know what? We're going to redirect. We're going to go find some trees.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and open the designs.
Why are we doing trees? It's simply because in the logo of the Stanford t-shirt, there's a tree. So we're trying to just, a little throwback to the logo.
Tell me if you see some trees. These.
Okay.
Okay. So now we have our trees.
Right. So we have our trees, but we have a tree that doesn't fit in the design. And the tree is going to stitch out to maybe like 5 inches by 4 inches if we just did that one block. We want to have multiple blocks. So let's go ahead and let's go over to modify. Or actually, we're going to go to repeat. And I want to repeat the design, right? So let's go over to our right in our sidebar. And we could hit fill at the bottom, almost to the bottom, and look what happens. We have all of these beautiful little trees, right? And that's going to stitch out just adorable, right? But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, hey, yeah, that's great, Tina, but it doesn't seem to fit and fill the entire area. I maybe need to add a little bit more. So we have an option. We can add rows or we can add columns. Let's try to add one of each and see what we get.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and go to vertical, add one more there,
Okay.
and then we'll add one more here. You said both of them.
Right. So it's still looking as cute as pie, right? But you know what? Let's level up, girls and guys, right? You know, I like this. I'm not in love with this, but I like it, right? Um, I still want this special for the person, quilt worthy or not. I still want it special, right? Because if nothing else, my name is on this and I want it to look good. So, all right. So, what we're going to do is say, instead of in basic at the top, if you look at that top row, remember that top row is our tab. That second row is in our ribbon. And our second row has two things in it. What does it say? Can you see that? It says
Right here, basic and wrap.
right. So right now, basic is highlighted. So therefore, it's basically going to quilt this out beginning to end, just as you see it. But remember, we got to add a little sass, right? So we're going to do that, right? So let's go ahead and let's touch wrap. All right, nothing happened. Tina, you said sass. I don't see anything happening. Well, this is when ProStitcher gets good, right? Let's make this a little bit more fun. We're going to look over in our sidebar again where it says workspace, repeat, and repeat wrap. We see that it says horizontal and vertical. Oh,
Yeah, question
okay.
time.
Let's stop for a second. We have a question.
Can you make a pillow cover like that on a stationary machine?
Yes,
Yes,
I
you
would say
can.
you can.
Yes, you can.
Oh,
Oh, they're asking. We're answering a question and we didn't repeat it. The question was, can you do a t-shirt? Can you make a pillow very similar to this, but yet use your stationary machine? Yes. Let me give you a tip. Before you get started, one of the things that I like to do and what I like to use is probably a friction pen or even a handy iron off pencil. Um, when I just have my batting and my backing, and then I may use my rulers just to kind of create a straight line. So then I now know that I'm lining everything up the way it is intended to be lined up. Then I begin to stitch. So that is the major difference for me. Can you still do it? Yes. Now, if you're asking whether or not you can use your create trees, well, yeah, you can create trees. It's going to be more free motion unless, if you can look over there, there's another option. It's blue stencil,
Blue stencil.
full line. It may not be there. Okay. Sorry about walking out of the camera, guys.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we can use that too.
Okay.
One, we have preview tape. Well, we have preview paper. And in the preview paper, what I like to do is just kind of like, I've already cut this off, lay it on top, and then you can use a dry erase marker and you can kind of test what you're working with, right? You can draw this out first and foremost, just to see what will it look like. That's an option, right? Another way to figure out whether or not what it's going to look like, when you purchase these machines and you get a display, a ProStitcher premium display, you get a tool or you get a different what do you call that, like it's designer, it's an app.
ProStitcher Designer.
ProStitcher Designer
Yeah.
software. Thank you very much. You get that software, you can pull in whatever you're looking at and you can kind of look at it. But back to you, the one who's doing this stationary quilting, you can use stencils that have and I have not been above this, guys. When I have gotten all of this down, I go into the kitchen and I get a cookie cutter that might look like a tree. And then I would put it down and then I trace around it with my handy iron off stencil, right? Because like I said, hey, if free motion quilting is not your thing yet, notice how I said yet, because it will be with practice, right? You can use that. So I just take my cookie cutter and I place the trees all the way around. And then I go back through with the simple meandering design and I meander, find the tree, make my stitches around that tree, come back out and meander until I find another tree. And I keep going until I create what I'm looking for. Okay, so That's a little tip. Yes, you can do it. That's the short of the story. Okay. But let's get back to the wrap. I don't think we have much time left, so I definitely want to show you at least how to wrap this. So let's go ahead. We're back over here in our sidebar over to the far right of our display, and we see horizontal, vertical. Okay, fine. That's not really what I want to work with. Windows, could I use that? Yes, but rows seem to really make more sense to me. So let's go ahead and let's press our rows and see what happens.
So Tina, I'm seeing a shift here in my design. So what exactly is it that I'm doing?
Right. So you're basically modifying the designs, right? So it looks as if everything is offset from each other. And that's a wonderful thing simply because now, instead of it being one right on top of the other, I like to just kind of move it until it is offset a good half design over, right? So then it looks really good. Now, is this something that I could be pleased with? To me, I could be pleased with this, right? I'm happy about it. Um, what would I do at this point? I would actually kind of probably baseline because I want to capture this as a still shot, right? I've done all these modifications. And whenever I baseline, be careful, people. Know that you're not saving the design. You're actually creating a new design and you're capturing it as a brand new design. We're not saving it. So if you decide you come out of it and you decide to do something else, the design is lost and gone. But what we want to do is recreate this design. And in other words, we almost kind of digitized our own little design right here in ProStitcher. It's pretty cool. All right. So looking good, but if I start stitching, I'm going to stitch all over the place. What can I do? Have we baseline?
We have not.
We need a baseline, girl. So what do we do?
Let's go ahead and hit baseline.
Hit baseline. There you go. So now we've recaptured that as one image, and I want to get rid of all the extra stuff. So now we need to crop it. So, like I said, you go back to the top. What makes sense? Does file make sense?
Mm-mm. So when I think of cropping, I'm thinking I'm modifying my design. So
Yep.
I see that very top up there and it's right next to area. I'm going to go ahead and hit modify and look at that. Right in that area, there's a crop button.
Okay.
So it looks like it's already selected. I'm going to
Yeah.
go ahead and tell it that I want to crop.
Sure.
Logically, as we're using Logic Playing or using ProStitcher Premium, it would make sense for me to crop on the outside, not the inside. Or would it be the other way around?
I don't know. Let's just try the inside and see what we get. Let's just play with it, because I don't know. I just now got my
Oh
machine.
no.
I don't know what to
Oh
do.
no.
I just, I'm scared to touch a button. So, you know what? I'm just going to try it. Guess what? Why? Because if you touch and play, you learn. And you'll realize quickly, like, oh, no, that's
Mm-mm.
not it. That looks like a picture frame. That's not where I'm going.
Yeah.
So now, Belzy, what would you do?
Well, the luxury of having ProStitcher Premium or
Oh my
Looks like we
goodness.
lost sound.
Okay.
Receiver is dead.
Oh.
Okay.
We might have to end
Okay.
Okay.
Well. Can they still see
Can they
us?
still see us?
it. See you.
Oh,
Okay.
no. Oh.
No, they're on the cameras on ProStitcher. Yeah.
Oh.
It's saying it's bad.
Oh.
Oh, but we still need
Them
to.
like, yeah, we still have to charge it.
It's saying you're back.
Few technical difficulties.
Just a little bit. Done a lot of talking, so I think I wore out the battery in the sound system here. We are currently changing that out. And meanwhile, can you guys hear me still? We're back live. Yay! We're back live.
We have sound. Oh man.
All right, sorry about that, guys. We're back and we're going to continue on. Just to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to do. One, we have redesigned this. We have modified this several times, and we've already baselined once. But guess what? You can baseline more than one time, right? So for me, I like to baseline at different sections and periods when appropriate. So thank you, Belzy, for hitting the baseline. Okay, am I ready to quilt? Almost. Don't get too excited. I like to save because where I live, guess what? Every now and then we might have a rolling brownout or a blackout, and I want to make sure that, I want to save my design. Or more importantly, I get a call. I got to go pick up somebody from the bus stop or something is happening. So I like to save my design, and I'm going to tell you, I also like to safely turn my machine off if I'm not around, right?
Mhm.
So it's always a good thing to do. So now that we've done that, we've baselined it, let's go ahead and save this. So in order to save it, we're going to go into File, Save. Could you save it as selected? You could. Just be careful when you do that you're not overwriting the design that was already currently there. You don't want to do that. Can you retrieve it? It's not the end of the world. Why? Because Handy Quilter has a wonderful support team that you can call and they can
Yep.
help you get back on track. Notice how I said you can call them and you can talk to them in person. This is a wonderful thing. If you don't know all the technical terms, guess what? They are really great listeners. And you can say, this thingamajig, this doohickey right here on this screen is highlighted with a green file thing. I hit selected workspace. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Guess what? There's somebody there to get you back on track. Or you can also call your retailer who they are so knowledgeable. They are patient and they're willing to help you get where you need to be.
Absolutely.
But this time, let's just kind of save this in workspace this time. And so right now you see that there's a couple of designs already there. One that says jacket pattern, the other one says Tina. I'm going to go ahead and save it as, okay,
Tina. We'll put a number 2.
Tina 2.
We'll save it.
Yeah, very good. Okay, for those of you, I'm going to take a quick pause that haven't had a chance to register or log in for the $50 gift certificate. Let's please do that now. Go ahead, do that hashtag HQ memories so that you can be in the drawing for something by the end of this entire live show. Okay. All right. So at this point, could we start stitching this out? Yeah, we could. Matter of fact, we can start this, but what I'm not going to do is actually complete the entire thing. I just want to show you that this is a possibility. So Belzy, as if you don't mind, why don't you start the stitching, and then I'm going to show you guys some other things. I'm going to bring other samples up so that you can see what you can do in order to make this even more special and even more memorable. So what Belzy is doing is bringing up her bobbin thread at this point.
And so I have both my bobbin thread and my top thread. I'm going to go to ProStitcher.
I'm going to let you keep talking.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And at this point, I am ready to stitch. I like to see my verify settings. You'll note that there is this little item at the bottom that is flashing red. That is very important. We want to make sure that we start with our needle up. I am at 11 stitches per inch. That is my happy spot. That's where I like to go ahead and start stitching. So I'm going to go ahead and hit proceed. And at this point, I did have something that was selected on my screen on the right-hand side that had an automatic pull up. So it actually will go ahead and pull up for me. And I didn't have to do that initial pull up. I'm going to go ahead and hit resume. It's going to do a series of micro stitches for me to lock in my design, and off it goes.
All right, guys, so as she's stitching along, I just wanted to show you, you've probably already seen this in the screen, but this is a pillow that you can make. This was made completely in the frame, right? Completely on our Longarm machine. Whether it was just like doing our stitch and flip, folding it down. Notice how each block is a little bit different, and I wanted to do something different, and I didn't want to worry about lining it up perfectly. So therefore, I don't have as many seams that need to be in the perfect alignment, but yet it creates like this cool pattern, right? So what you would do is you would line up everything that you want, and then you fold it over, and then you stitch it together, right? So this is on the opposite side of it. It is, it has a little pocket right here, and then you're able to put your pillow form inside. Could I have not used this as a pillow form? Absolutely. I could have made this as a regular wall hanging. You can put it in a frame, and it's something that they like to have. So by the way, right, I was trying to be nice to this whole Stanford girl thing, right? And I'm going to show you something that I started creating for her that I will complete so that she could have it as a keepsake. And it kind of reminds me of, I don't know, a diploma. So I'm just going to put this down, and I'm going to grab what I created for you. So here's another option. You can fussy cut. You can actually set different triangles, and you can quilt this out on your machine. And notice how I said this looks like a little diploma, right? Okay, this is wonderful and cute. It's a t-shirt in the middle with all the little scrap pieces that we didn't want to throw away, didn't know what we're going to do. And then we added that on the side. Can you do it all on that long arm? You can. Let me show you something else you can do. Right? I have to level up, right? I cannot let this Stanford chick get away with this. I'm from Texas, y'all. So, oh, sorry. I said y'all. I went to Texas A&M, so hey, this is the best. Oh, okay, that's a nice little Aggie joke, right? What does an Aggie do? They turn something upside down. But anyway, here we go. This is mine. So this is my own like little diploma quilт that you can also create and make. And then Tina, what would you do? Like, what if I wanted to put something down? Let me just show you. I quilted something on the side. I added batting inside, right? And there's a binding strip that I put on with the machine. And I will go back through and actually do a little bit of, I don't know, whip stitches just to make sure that my binding is going to stay in place. I'm going to lay this upside down, right? I have another one. And I'm just going to make sure when I lay it upside down, I'm going to cover the entire thing. Now, guess what's so cool? Using your glide foot, all you have to do is now either you can trace and mark and, you know, make a stitch that direction, but you can just always pull up a rectangle or a square, change the dimensions, stitch all the way around, flip it inside out, and you have a wonderful, wonderful design. Okay. Let's go back to what's happening back here with Miss Belzy. So am I free to walk back around? Okay.
So, last call for each memory.
All right. Yep. All right, so it looks like we're approaching raffle time, right? So we are going to go ahead and remind you that we drop it in the comments, hashtag HQ
Hashtag,
memories or # HQ memories. It looks like it's our last call, so go ahead and drop it in the comments.
Are there any more questions while we're waiting for anything else?
We're drawing right now.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and
we're
do
ready
the
for
drawing.
the drawing.
Remember, we had to do a drum roll.
Oh yeah, drum roll. Are
Drum
you ready?
roll.
Can you hear it?
You guys see it? Katie Bertrand.
Katie
Bertrand.
Bertrand, congratulations. You are the winner of the $50 gift card. Perfect. And they were telling us to go ahead and email HQ. Please remind me again one more time.
Spotlight.
Spotlight@handyquilter.com.
Right.
All right, you guys can finish up.
All right.
Okay, so first and foremost, Belzy, I mean, today has just been a joy just to hang out with you. For me, we've created our own memory. And one of the things that we've done before we started is that we took a little selfie of each other. And just
Yes.
like I created with my design back here, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You can go out and you can get this design. If this is something that's really unique and special that you like, feel free to go out to soisaid.com. It has fabric, it has the requirements for creating this. It's detailed, it has a lot of color, it's step by step. And on the back side, you're going to get anywhere from a queen all the way to a full of what you can create with this. It gives you an idea of how much backing you're going to need, how much binding you're going to need. I tried to think through everything to make this as user-friendly for you as possible. I would say that if you're a beginner, go for it. If you're a little bit more of an advanced beginner, you're going to feel really comfortable with it. But guys, take this time, create these memories, and make something special. Handy Quilter did a lot for me when I created my business many years ago, and the people here, top notch. And I just love them to death. They helped me with learning how to do things that I did not know how to do on this machine. And it just made life so much easier for me. And I can't even begin to tell you that the quilts that I make now brings me so much joy because I see people's faces light up whenever they receive the gift of my handmade work. And it just means a lot. And so to be able to go through, talk to you today, the journey has been a wonderful one. I can say what sold me on Handy Quilter and why to buy a machine was because I knew that Houston had gone through so many things many, many years ago. And we had, I guess, a situation where we had a lot of flooding, all kinds of things was happening there. And Handy Quilter stepped out. For those people who took the time, they got those machines and they registered them. They stepped up like no one else probably could have. They made sure that the people felt supported, felt heard, felt like they had a place to go when the machines weren't working. The retailers were beyond more than a family for them. So when I tell you that I love Handy Quilter, I love Handy Quilter, and I want you to join my family and be a part of this whole journey with me. So thank you, Handy Quilter.
Absolutely.
Where can we find Tina and Kelsey if you have a
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I am the Southeast RSM, so you can contact all our local retailers, whether you're in the Southeast or if you're on the West, wherever it is that you are, you want to find your local retailer. They're going to be your biggest and number one supporter. And then that's where, we come in as well. We're here to answer any sort of phone calls. Like I said, we had a phone number on the screen. So if you do have any additional questions, feel free to call into that number.
Yeah.
I do want to say I share the same sentiment as Tina. Handy Quilter has definitely been like a family. And, no family is perfect, but we love each other through and through.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely love for you to join that family. And that is the same sentiment that we have with our retailers. Or you are joining a family when you join a Handy Quilter retailer. I think, Tina, you do have a website. So as you had mentioned, they can find you where exactly?
They can actually. if you can find me through sewisaid.com, is SEWISAID. It does have information in which you can, purchase this quilt for the first time. Made especially for my husband, thank you. But I will also say that if you're interested in ever coming to a class where I might be teaching, I would love to connect with you and love to have a lot of time spent with you. So go out to Handy Quilter slash, where is that? Help
So
me.
it is at handyquilter.com and yes.
Events
Yeah.
/ events. So handyquilter.com / events. You're going to see some of my other family members, some of the other national educators who are just absolutely phenomenal. And you click on any one of our pictures, you're going to be able to see where we're going to be teaching. You may even see the events that we're going to be coming to soon. So if you're like, oh, Tina, you're not in my area, I still want to take a class. I still want to learn. I still want to, test drive this before I buy, or I want to learn more because I've already purchased this and I want additional education, then guess what? You can put your zip code in there and it will tell you where the next show in your area is going to be. So guys, don't ever feel like you're walking this journey alone. You have a family. Come hang out with us.